This is The Final Word. It's season 18. It's episode, can't remember, 15? That sounds about right.
It's getting up there. Yeah, episode 15. You got it.
Great. We've nailed it. A lot of things going on in the world of cricket outside what was happening over the test matches in England, but there are more test matches coming up. The next of them will be the World Test Championship final, things that we're interested in that other people aren't necessarily, who's umpiring. And it's good to see the Dicks back together, although they won't be in the middle. Big Dick Kettleborough will be upstairs watching the tally, which will have little Dick Illingworth on it, along with Chris Gaffney. So that'll be the trio taking care of things. And perhaps good that India aren't in this game, given that Kettleborough in the box for India games has made a few of their supporters unhappy over the years.
Yeah, it could be said. I mean, this all makes sense to me. Richard Illingworth is seen as the number one umpire in the world at the moment in that annual recap that they do, and Chris Gaffney, who officiated in this final when Australia played India at the Oval a couple of years ago, and Kettleborough being there as part of the team as well. So that all makes sense to me. I forgot to go back and check why Michael Goff got dropped, because they brought Alex Wharf onto the elite panel. And I had a quick squiz and saw that Goff's been doing the IPL. So he's still getting gigs. It's not like he's stopped umpiring. Because we speculated at the time that maybe he'd
had a sore finger.
Yeah, just decided
couldn't put it up.
Going to do something else. But no, he's still out there doing his thing in the IPL. So maybe we'll find out more about that at some stage, although there's obviously less media scrutiny on comings and goings of elite panel umpires compared to the players and games.
It's a whole podcast. We'll do a spin-off show.
Probably, yes. But yeah, World Test Championship, it starts on the 11th of June. We will have daily episodes from the 10th. Jeff will be with me at Lord's in London, and I'll be going on to broadcast the Test match shows. It'll be an incredibly busy week. I mentioned earlier about our great community. The amount of tickets that are being arranged on Discord for this series that's coming up and the WTC is remarkable, and the Ashes later in the year. So it's one of many reasons to get involved, is that the way in which people help each other get to where they want to be. We're doing a final word meetup during the World Test Championship final, which I think is going to be night 3 on the Friday, which will be terrific. So, that'll all be organised via Discord. And then Jeff will be with me for that. We'll be back on the Lord's turf where we were the last time we did a daily. There was a little thing that happened between Johnny Bairstow and Alex Carey. I doubt it'll be that controversial, but we can dare to dream.
Yeah, I wouldn't be looking forward to repeating that particular sequence, but I will be looking forward to the match itself, which will go over the 5 days, maybe 6. Who knows if there's
Not sure they do that anymore, do they? Do they still have the reserve?
They've still got a reserve day, yeah. It needs to be triggered by enough time, enough overs lost. It's not an automatic 6th day like it was the first year, but it is there. It is available.
Pretty sure I've got
a
charity cricket game on day 6. So let's hope it gets solved in 5. Otherwise, I have a problem.
Yes, I hope so as well. Big Ange news, not that Big Ange, the other Big Ange. Although we could talk about Big Ange Postecoglou, which we did in our movie club episode with Tony Wilson not that long ago. So I've been even more invested in that Big Ange's story and getting a big piece of silverware at Tottenham, thank God, because they hadn't won anything in about 100 years. But
we're in Tottenham land here where I am.
Are you?
So the day after they won the Europa League, there were at school drop-off Tottenham shirts everywhere. Sam, who runs the local cafe up the road from me, Hot Milk, gave free bagels to anyone that rocked up in a Tottenham shirt on Thursday, which was a nice touch. And the open-top bus parade ran about 1 kilometre from where I live, up in towards the stadium, there at the stadium in Tottenham. So it was a huge week here in North London. Not that I have any emotional investment in Tottenham, but seeing Ange Postecoglou fated the way that he was after that was a cool thing. I enjoyed all of that reporting and sort of sticking it up people as you do, and onwards.
Yeah, when it comes to sticking it up people, it's nice to see it happen to someone like him. Big Angelo Mathews is the Big Ange that we're talking about, who is going to wrap it up. He's going to play a couple more tests. And I love this. He's finishing against Bangladesh. The grudge match gets one more rollout. The timed out, the wristwatch, the miming, the feud, the worst-tempered clash in world cricket these days, particularly now that India and Pakistan don't play each other. But they were always quite nice to each other when they did play each other, the players themselves on the field. Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, they fucking hate each other, and they will be going at it across 2 test matches, and then that's it. They're not playing tests for ages after that. So Angelo Mathews has said, Finn, I'm done. I've done my bit for the country. I've been playing for about 35 years. I'm the Brian Close of my era, and I'm ready to give it away.
Yeah, the snake rivalry, which where they were imitating snakes when setting each other off a couple of years ago, which really brought me up. But yeah, the
Cobra Kai never dies.
I love that he's kind of kept the door open a little bit. He goes, if his country air quotes needs him, not air quotes, he actually said that he'll still play one day cricket and T20 cricket. So he's not quite done at 38. But yeah,
very Michael Clark. If the right person were to ask me the question.
Yeah. 119 test matches for Big Ange. It's a link to another world. Yeah, he started playing test cricket in 2009, which, in some respects doesn't feel that long ago, but think about the way that global cricket was in 2009 and the types of players he played with and against then compared to how it feels very differently now. So,
Peter Siddle started in 2008, didn't he?
Yeah.
So that's the sort of vintage that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right. And look, he captained them.
And he played into his 40s and has retired. So
that's a long span. So yeah, he captained Sri Lanka 34 times in Test cricket, and enjoyed some really strong moments of success. Not least what they did in 2014 in England. And I suppose it would have been, was he finished up by 2015? He didn't captain in 2016, did he? When they beat Australia, but still there was a team that he played in which did enjoy quite a bit of success, which he underpinned. 16 centuries, the bulk of them coming in that purple patch when he was averaging 60 odd when he was the captain between 2013 and 2015. And yeah, that win in England in 2014 where he made 100 at Leeds and they won that test in the final over. So a fairly important career in the history of Sri Lankan cricket. Third leading run scorer, great numbers, averaged 45. We knew this was coming when Dimuth Karunaratne retired when we were in Gaul a few months ago. It was telegraphed fairly clearly that he'd retire there and Mathews would retire in the next series because they've got like 9 months until their next test match after that, which is outrageous, but a function of the way that the schedule looks in the next WTC cycle. So well played, Big Ange, and looking forward to celebrating his farewell when they play against the Bangers.
Yes, I'm glad that you will not be trolling me about my commentary position on the fourth floor of a building ever again. Thanks, Angelo Mathews, for that one. Ireland beat the West Indies in one of their ODIs, tied the series 1-1. One of them was a washout, very high-scoring series. When Ireland win, they make big runs. So they made 300 plus. Belburney made 100. Then the Windies made 350 and got rained off. And then the third game, the Windies made 385. So I'm guessing flat one, small boundaries.
Probably there at Clontarf. I've not been to a game at Clontarf. We were trying to play a game there on tour a couple of years ago, but it was already.
Is that Belfast or Dublin?
It's Dublin. Dublin's Clontarf. But Balbo, I was thinking about this the other day. The best 11 of players that have been on the final word who are still active and still going beautifully is a pretty bloody good team. So Balbo here, who was, of course, a guest a couple of years ago when he was still captaining Ireland, thrilled to see him having some success here in that first match. As you say, they pumped the Windies by 124 runs. They've got a new guy, Liam McCarthy, who Joey Johns, former Dublin reporter, now lives in the UK and plays cricket with us. Sounds like Liam McCarthy's proper quick. And that's one thing that's been missing for Ireland. Josh Little, but Josh Little, maybe on the wane a little bit, went for heaps of runs in the third one-dayer. Maybe this Liam McCarthy could be someone they could build around in their next generation. So the other talking point out of this is that Kesey Carty, one of the best names in world cricket, Kesey Carty, the West Indian batter who's been in the team for a few years, hit runs in 2 games, including 170 from 142 in the win they had a couple of days ago when they racked up nearly 400. So that's far quicker than his strike rate would suggest. I had a look at his profile. He's only played 20 T20s all up. And that's when you accept that so many West Indian cricketers have gone stridently down the T20 path, where there's a guy here who's committed to the Windies and still able to thrash a team to that extent is a pretty good sign for where they might be at the moment. And their bowlers finished it off. They knocked over Ireland for 165. Jaden Seals, 3 for 26. So, a bit of a weird old series that was split 1-1. It did get me thinking, Jeff, that the 50-over World Cup is only 2 years away. And 2 years out from the previous 50-over World Cup, we were following the World Cup Super League, weren't we? Like the ladder was of fascination because there was an automatic qualification pool built up over, I think it was 24 one-day internationals, right? So every game kind of mattered. This time around, because there's 14 teams in this World Cup, which is a good thing, but they've completely reconfigured the qualification process. The 2 host nations, South Africa and Zimbabwe, go straight through. The
What
next
about
8,
Namibia?
yeah, Namibia don't go straight through. They don't, unfortunately, get considered a host for the purpose of this, for what it's worth. Whether it should or shouldn't, I'm not going to get into that, but they're not. The next 8 are done on rankings, and the next 4 from a global qualifier. Now, if you go to the automatic teams at the moment, so the next 8, or the 8 along with SAF and Zim, India, New Zealand, Australia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Afghanistan, England, West Indies, right? West Indies are the lowest qualified team right now on 81 points.
Okay.
That leaves Bangladesh on 76. Then it drops off a cliff to Ireland and Scotland. So the chasing pack is pretty much one team, and we're 2 years away from a World Cup. That's no system. There is no tension in this. There's no the ranking points can be a little bit volatile when there's fewer games being played, but there's still enough cricket. No one's catching the Windies or Bangladesh.
But fundamentally, you need volume of games to make up rankings points.
That's it.
That's how this system works. So Ireland and Scotland will never be playing enough ODI coded matches against, and rankings points also are weighted towards higher ranked opponents, right? You get more, you gain more points for beating higher ranked opponents. So they're going to have so few opportunities to play and beat higher ranked opponents that how are they going to make up ground?
Well, and what it means is that Ireland and Scotland, we pretty much already know will be in the qualifier. Yeah, and it's a World Cup of 14 where Ireland are a full member and Scotland are like nearly a full member, and they'll have to go into the muck and the mire of a qualifier, which will be brutal. And we know how capricious they can be. Scotland, who missed out scandalously back in 2018 on the basis of a bit of rain and not having DRS available to them. So, I'm trying to say, it just doesn't feel. This is a clear shortcoming of what they've gotten when they've eliminated what was a pretty good system. Rest in peace, the World Cup Super League.
Yeah, I was interested watching Bangladesh getting done by the UAE. I meant to mention this last week, but the series hadn't finished yet. And the UAE went on and won the third game as well, beat them in the series 2-1 in the end. So Bangladesh had led. They'd won the first game. And Mohammed Wasim, whose work we enjoyed down at Kardinia Park, when he smashed them around a couple of years ago, 82 off 42 balls, chasing over 200 to win, which was an absolute belter, and then just did them easy in the third game, chased 166 with an over to spare and did it quite comfortably. So big result for the UAE.
Team to watch. They keep moving up.
Men's
those
and
rankings,
women's,
but absolutely women's, but men's as well. Like they made that T20 World Cup. Mohammed Wasim's a gun. So one to watch as far as what I mentioned before with the 50 over World Cup qualification. I wouldn't at all be surprised if they nabbed one of those 4 spots that'll be available when they play that tournament at the end of next year. Staying with 50 over cricket very quickly. So Jofra Archer is out of the one-dayers that the Windies are now playing in England starting on Thursday. So they've played their series in Ireland. Now they're over here for 3 one-dayers, I think it is. And Jofra Archer did some thumb ligaments at the IPL. So he was also going to play, the whisper was he was going to play in the Lions game, or one of the Lions games. And that was going to be his red ball comeback. Look, there's
and
no
it's a
chance.
totally different, unrelated injury. It's like it just really feels like there's a curse hanging over this. It's like it was a monkey's paw wish. I wish to bowl the most memorable spell at Lords in an Ashes Test for 50 years. In 2019, the monkey's paw, one finger curls closed, and they're like, "Cool, you can have that," and then no, never again. It's so frustrating.
Well, hopefully he'll recover from this quickly enough that. I don't know, is there an outside chance he plays some championship cricket? Because the idea of the Lions game was to just get him bowling with the red ball again. And then, how they manage it. Clearly he won't play against India, but if they still have visions of him playing against Australia, and he can't do it off no work.
No.
I wouldn't quite say it's battle against time yet, but it'll be interesting seeing him run around, in September for Sussex in the dark, at the end of the season. That could add to the championship, which we will come to in a little bit. Off the field in England, Richard Thompson, it's been confirmed this week he'll stay on as chair till 2028. It's worth explaining how this happened, right? So unanimous support from the board. There's always unanimous support from the board when there's a chairman.
The board's very supportive.
You never see a chair appointed on a split points decision.
No.
But he was appointed chair in 2022.
Unlike Sonny Baker and Rocky Flintoff, which was controversially...
The judges took it to the 15th round before they. So he was appointed chair in 2022 for 5 years, but since then they've done a governance review saying that they should have 3-year terms for chair and 2 terms as the limit, which extends it to 6. So it kind of makes sense in a way that he would simply roll over and complete 6 instead of 5. And look, it does max him out, and it'll mean that a lot of the work that's going on right now, they clearly are desperate to get this 100 deal finalised as soon as humanly possible. I reckon after that, though, Jeff, things are going to move pretty quickly. So the MCC have got a new chief executive in Robert Lawson. I met him a couple of months ago. He has a cricket background in as far as he's been a cricketer, which I always like when seeing an administrator who knows how to pick up a bat and bowl a ball. He played club cricket in London, I think he said. But also has worked in various different industries over time and worked in sport earlier in his career. He's saying that the Spirit might not remain the name, and there's chat about the colours changing to maybe MCC colours, and I only cite that as an example. And the sponsor, right now they're all sponsored by one overarching company, and they all wear the crisp packets, right? Like once the deal's done to liberate the ECB of the ownership of all of this, we're going to see lots of changes to the 100 that make it feel it won't just be like the tech bros sitting in the pavilion. It'll be and it'll be every club going through a process like this once the sale formally goes through.
I want to see, the egg and bacon, get them playing in the stripes. Let's call them the toffs. It could be the Lord's toffs, and they've all got to wear straw boaters when they play. There'll be no baseball caps out there. Got to hand your straw boater to the umpire as you come into bowl. Maybe we can get an amateurs and professionals split. Maybe say 3 or 4 of the team are unpaid rich blokes who come from a nice school down the road and, I don't know, bat at 9 and don't bowl, something like that. Let's have some traditions.
I feel duty bound to say, the MCC coloured uniform is quite sedate by comparison. It's a blue top with some red and gold trimming. They're
disappointing.
Playing in Portugal.
Play to your strengths. You're recognisable for a reason.
MCC have toured Portugal this weekend. I've been following the social media stuff on that front. But no,
where are they?
They played at, I want to say they played at Lisbon on the weekend. I think they have another game today, then they come home. So they've been doing their thing. They might have played.
I would have gone if I wasn't puking in the bathtub.
So one more thing administratively with England is an announcement that came out during the week. So the ECB have had this deal with the BBC where they've played their T20 internationals, a couple of them per season, men and women, have been on the Beeb Live, which is, it was that deal was done before the 100 rocked up and had lots of cricket on the BBC during the middle of summer, 20 over cricket or 100 ball cricket. My apologies. Now, maybe not as big a deal. I don't know. I don't really know how many people are tuning into the BBC to watch, the England men or women play a bilateral T20 series. I don't really have a sense of that. But for what it's worth, it's actually moving off the BBC to Channel 5. So it'll remain on free-to-air, but it'll be down the, pecking order, off to the commercial free-to-air station that's got the least cut through, I suppose you would say. Channel 5, to be fair, have broadcast a lot of cricket over the years. They were where the highlights lived for many years after Channel 4 lost the broadcast rights, and Channel 5 will stream the Blast highlights as well. So they're showing some commitment. But, I would love to see the 4-day game get this treatment. By the way, with all the streaming that's going on, well, if they're going to give highlights to the Blast on Channel 5, what we're doing at Surrey is a great example of, and other counties as well, of a products that could be put out there into the ether in a slightly different way. Maybe that could be something for Richard Thompson's Intrigue in seasons to come. Possibly.
Yeah, plenty of as they describe it, content. Plenty of hours that could be filled. The England West Indies Women T20 series, that was as one-sided as expected. Goodness me, we talked about Hayley Matthews carrying this side and whether anybody was carrying a side more than her. My God, this series. She makes 100 not out in the first game out of 146. Which England chased easily. Didn't make runs in the second game, in which case they limped to 81 for 9. Horrible. And then third time around, she made 71 out of 127 for 8. They cannot put a score together without her. They're almost getting bowled out. The T20 Bannerman is on the cards. We talked about one of those a couple of weeks ago with the way the Windies are going at the moment. Just they've got almost the best player in the world on form and then the 10 worst players in the world on form, something like that. England won all 3 games comfortably. Chase them comfortably. Dunkley made runs, which is important. I think she's got to make the case for that sort of next generation leader after Nat Sciver-Brunt, Emily Arlett in the side taking wickets, which is nice to see as well. We were pleased to see her call up and good to see the Arlett name getting back on a scorecard, back on a cricket field.
Yeah, you're right about the T20 Bannerman with Matthews. It's like in that chase, they were after 145 in the third T20, and with Matthews they're a sniff. And when Matthews is gone, they finish on 127 for 8, about as anemic as it comes. Well, sorry, their 81 for 9 was worse in the previous game at home. It's like we've seen this series time and time again.
Ugh.
When the Windies women come to England, they just get spifflicated, and Matthews is the only thing that stands between them and complete humiliation. So, yeah, there is some stuff for England there too. You mentioned Dunkley, Em Arlett getting her debut about 4 years after we thought she might. Runs for Siva Brunt as captain for the first time as full-time leader, runs for Knight. The former captain, which is not for nothing, getting 67 not out in the third game. I suppose you'd call her the senior pro these days, Heather Knight in the dressing room. And, of course, it's the start of the Charlotte Edwards era, so she'll be happy with just how ruthless they were, and she's overseen the progress of Lauren Bell at the Vipers for many years, and Bell finished with 4 for 11 from 4 overs in that third T20. So we're off to Derby, Leicester and Taunton for the 3 one-dayers, and I would expect they'll go much the way of the T20s. I mean, you don't want them to, but you sort of feel like there's a sense of inevitability about all of this, isn't there?
Yes. Let's get into England domestic cricket. And first, the FA Cup, as we've liked to think of it, the 37-team all singing, all dancing, all tears knockout T20 competition that they're playing in the England. Women's set up, the headline, Lancashire win the first bit of silverware under the new regime.
Yeah, so finals day was yesterday over at Taunton. And, the 4 teams left were Warwickshire, Surrey, the Blaze. So Notts, we're not calling them the Blaze. Notts.
No, we're calling them Nottinghamshire.
And Lancashire. And Warwickshire were defeated by Surrey by 3 wickets in the first semi with a couple of balls to go. So that was exciting. The second game, Lancs won more comfortably by 7 wickets on Duckworth Lewis. So it left Lancs versus Surrey for the first trophy in the new reconfigured women's comp, because, of course, they'll have the Blasts. They've got the one-day competition, but this is the all-in. And Lancashire have won it by 32 runs. They made 172 for 6, and then they were able to defend it fairly comfortably. They won by 32 runs. And who's at the bottom of the scorecard? Sophie Eccleston, who didn't play for England this week. 4 for 12 from 4 overs to win the trophy.
Not fit enough with a knee injury to bowl for England in a T20, but fit enough to take 4 for 12.
And she picked up 3 for 19 in the semi as well. So she's taken 7 for 31 from 8 overs on finals day.
Yikes.
Very sort of Sophie Eccleston energy. So, the Red Rose.
Good thing they're resting her. Yeah. It's good to rest from your England duties, playing 1 T20 a day, by playing domestically, playing 2 T20s a day. That's how rest works. Answer the question, England.